Thank you very much. So I'm going to introduce Ahmet. It's basically his project. He's done all the work for it, so I'm going to let him do all the presenting as well. But what I'm going to do is provide a little bit of context about what we do here at the University of London and how Ahmet's project fits into that. So my name is Will. I am Senior Manager of Learning Enhancement within what we call the Student Life team at the University of London. And the Student Life team is relatively small. There's 9 of us, and we are responsible for a number of student-facing resources, which are designed to support students through their studies. And as you can see, these are what we call the pillars of the Student Life team, and we conduct activities in all these areas. So the idea is that we create the conditions for successful learning outside of the curriculum. Things like equipping students with self-regulatory skills, self-efficacy skills, fostering a sense of community, which is so important in student success, particularly in an online and distance and flexible learning setting. We try and engage students in a number of supportive ways. We provide mental health and well-being support as well. So all of our students deserve the opportunity to achieve their full potential and reach the outcome that they're capable of. So we provide them with an array of services that will help meet that end. And students should also feel like they're part of a diverse community. So we offer a range of services, as I say, that are designed to meet the needs of our 40,000 odd students. And we try, in a sense, to recreate that traditional campus feeling in an online and flexible environment. So why is that relevant to what we're talking about today? So the student voice is at the heart of everything we do. Everything we do is inspired by our students. We take inspiration from our students, but working in an online setting, those touch points that we have with students are more limited. So we have to get a little bit creative in how we actually tap into what our students need. And traditionally, universities use focus groups, surveys, which are all very valuable. But often what we find is it's the most engaged students that are engaging with those processes. So the students that are ambassadors are also on the student voice group. They're also the ones that are first to fill in the forms. So that leaves a large amount of our students who are untapped, who are not entirely clear what they need, what skills do they need in order to succeed, what extra support do they need, etc. So a way to do this is we found that students often perhaps vent their frustrations or share ideas in informal digital spaces, so channels outside of the university's influence. And they therefore sit outside the traditional evaluation systems. So this creates an opportunity for us to kind of mine some information, and also a challenge in terms of a technical challenge and an ethical and methodological challenge as well. So what Ahmet's going to talk about is how we've approached doing this, and how can our professional staff at the university listen into these student conversations without reducing authenticity and making it feel like surveillance. So I think at that point, I will hand over to you, Ahmet.
Thanks very much, Phil. That was a great introduction. So actually, this is this is a practice paper rather than research. We want to showcase you how professional staff enhance its practices using generative AI. So none of the things that we did in this project could have been done without generative AI. That's why this practice is a bit interesting for us. That's why we wanted to showcase it. So what's our methodological response? There's a methodology here. So we set up a flow, and we used generative AI as an analytical partner. So it's not an autonomous decision maker. It's just like a work body, study body. Generative AI helped us with the purpose, not to automate like judgment, but rather to help professional staff like us work with the scale and complexity of student discourse that would otherwise be difficult to navigate. So that was one of our main aim. So what is the workflow? I'm going to go into my Chrome tab in a second. I'm not going to dwell on the presentation slides. So I will finish that and I will showcase you exactly what we did. But let me talk about the flow so you have an overview and understanding of what we did, the bigger picture. So the workflow matters because this is where the project moves beyond simple prompt use, okay? So you might have heard a lot about prompt engineering, generative AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, you get on with it, you just type and it responds to you. But we wanted to go beyond that because, now the discussion has been going around about when, it's not whether, but when we are going to be replaced by generative AI. Okay, there are a lot of professional staff positions that are in danger because generative AI could do similar jobs. That's debatable, but that's the fact today. People are discussing that. So what we are thinking now is how we can enhance our work rather than just use generative AI to facilitate everything we do. So we want to do something different. So we used AI iteratively across the process. First, to think through the problem, then to support the coding, then to analyze large-scale text, and finally, to create an accessible interface for non-technical staff. So this is one of the main innovations of the project. So all this process couldn't have been done without generative AI. That's why this project is different than, with or without AI, or before generative AI existed, we couldn't have thought of going into such a project and complete it in a matter of months. So what did we actually analyze? So we collected nearly, I will showcase you in a second, 400 public posts and analyzed them one by one. Analyzed everything individually rather than sampled at the surface level. We structured each post into categories that professional staff could actually use. There were the themes, what the students seemed to be asking for, where the information gap was, the mindset expressed, and the possible intervention. So this helped us move from unstructured discourse to something much more actionable. And here you can see an example. So this is an example of how we, or generative AI, with the help of generative AI, we analyzed one single post on a social media platform that a University of London student kind of expressed themselves. So we created themes, what the request is, the summary of the request, information gap, what is the student mindset here, what is the recommended intervention for us, and the summary of everything. So we did this for all 6,400 public posts with the help of AI. So why this matters in practice? So one of the most important points for us is staff empowerment. So we want to empower staff rather than just use generative AI to do daily tasks that we used to do before generative AI. So this was not just a technical exercise. It showed that professional staff with no coding background, without any technical knowledge of coding, could still engage meaningfully with complex student discourse when the workflow and tools were designed well. So our argument is not that traditional methods should disappear. So surveys and focus groups still have an important place. But if you want a fuller picture of the student experience, we need more inclusive forms of listening. Generative AI offers one way to do this, provided it is used critically, ethically, and in support of human judgment. So that's where we came in. So I'll just stop my slides here, and I will just go ahead and briefly show you what we did in practice. So first of all, it is prompt engineering. We offer this is one of the courses we offer to our students at the University of London. It is Introduction to Prompt Engineering. It's quite critical, and you can see the course content here. It's not just we offer this course to our students, but we ourselves use these prompt patterns as well. And that's how we have come to this project. We have come to this project through these prompt patterns. We worked with generative AI using flipped interaction pattern. So that's a different way of prompting to generative AI. So it gives you original ideas. The persona pattern, we want to act it in a particular way so it can help us. There's a question refinement pattern. I'm not going to dive into what these are, but I'm just trying to show you the flow. We use the alternative approaches pattern when interacting with generative AI. So it can give us alternative options about what we are planning to do. We also used the gameplay and persona pattern and etc. So what we did is we started with quality prompts even before starting interacting with generative AI. We had a mindset, we had a plan, but we didn't know exactly how we could do it. So the plan was we wanted to listen to students where they speak, informal spaces, because as a professional staff, you can't really have the opportunity to talk to students, you know. Yes, there are student ambassadors, there are focus group interviews, surveys, but generally what happens is there are really motivated students who are more or less happy with everything. They are up for it, they speak with ourselves, but there are also a lot of thousands of students who express their frustrations, worries, stress, or achievements in different places. And it is social media. So that is how generative AI helped us. It told us, okay, I understood you. That is your aim. Why don't you go ahead and check a social media called Reddit? Okay, I don't know if you know Reddit, but this is a social media platform. It's like a forum space. It's anonymous, so you just post anything and everything about your interest. And one of the things was we found a public forum about University of London computer science course. So there are a lot of subreddits, they call it, where students, prospective students, future students, or who are planning to study at our institution would like to kind of get more information, or our current students talking about what they are struggling with, what they are happy with. However, the suggestion was good, but it was a lot. I mean, there were around more than, at the time of the analysis, 6,400 posts, but probably now it's over 7,000. For example, one post is just 19 hours ago. So it's an active forum and it's an active community talking about everything, asking questions. For example, this student asked, can you get a cert higher education if you finish all level 4 modules? I don't have the answer to that. It's not my area, but we know that they speak about everything. So that was good, but we told generative AI, or you could say ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, that we can't really manually read everything here. That's impossible for us. We don't have the time, we don't have the resource. And used a couple of prompt patterns and asked it to come up with some alternative ways of getting these posts and comments from this website. And it did say, okay, that's so easy, I can help you with that. It started writing this code. I mean, I didn't even ask for it. So it started writing a code and told me that, okay, Ahmet, take this code and go to a website called collab.research.google.com. It's a Google product. Sign up with your Gmail and paste this code on there and click run. What it did was it went to the Reddit subreddit here. It scrapped, paused everything, all the comments, posts, posted by students, the links, so I can cross-check if it did get the right posts, the timing of that, which year exactly they posted those comments in an Excel file. It was great. I can show you in a second here. As you can see here, post-created ISO, it's exactly what time it's been created. It is the nickname of the person. Here's the comment, and you can also get the links to that. You can cross-check. So I had over now 6,400 comments from that. And it did it in a matter of minutes. In 10 minutes, I was able to get everything from that Reddit subreddit. Okay, imagine that. If you don't have to work in a professional staff setting, you can be an academic who are interested in mental health and how students talking about their mental health in such spaces. What you can do is you can talk with generative AI, you can scrap everything that's posted by students anywhere in the world and have an Excel files full of comments ready for analysis. So that's a great empowerment. That's something we couldn't have done without generative AI. So obviously, this could have been done without generative AI because this is just a Python code. But I don't have the technical knowledge or coding experience that I can't even write one single line of code that will get everything for me. So it's great for academics. It's great for professional staff. It's great for students who would like to explore more what is going on in online spaces. Okay, this was the first step. We were so happy. However, it was again still a lot. I mean, I couldn't read everything here and make sense of it. So, okay, it made my job easy. It is on an Excel file now. I don't have to click anything and everything. It's there, but still it was so complicated. How can I analyze this in a meaningful way that will help me? Okay, what we did is we did go back to generative AI, our kind of guru again. But it's our guru. Why? Because we give the right prompts. So without the right prompt strategy, as I said at the beginning, like there are prompt patterns, prompt engineering. That's why it is vital. It becomes a child who is very capable of everything but don't know what to do. But with the right prompts, it can become an expert in your area. So that's why we did. We again went it with a bunch of prompts that we told it that we know discourse analysis, we know thematic analysis. We have such an Excel file. We want to analyze this, okay? But we want to use a certain we want to look at certain themes and phrases, okay? So it gave us a code right away without even asking. No matter whether I did or say or not, do not write the code before I say it, but it did. And what this code did is it did analyze all those comments on that row. But there was a very important bit that we need to be very careful. The prompt that will do the analysis. Here you can see within the code, there is a prompt to do this analysis for us. So what it says is your task is to perform a careful qualitative analysis for each item. You must produce one object per item that helps a university student life team understand student needs, frustrations, behaviors, etc. And come up with theme, request, information gap, student mindset, recommended intervention, and summary. And it produced this. This is excellent. What we see here is, what it created is, there is theme, request summary, information gap here, student mindset, recommended intervention for us because we instructed it to kind of curate the intervention for student life team, and summary. That was excellent. We could see what the student mindset was, the information gap, the recommended intervention, but it was still a lot. And we again go back to generative AI and said, okay, this is still a lot. That's great, but a lot. How we could make it even more easier, much easier for professional staff to engage with this data set. And it told us that, okay, do you know what? You can create an interface using me. And it did create this. So what you see here is created by generative AI, an interface that will do an analysis of the student insights that I just showed you, the analysis of the post, and Reddit comments. You upload them there, those 2 Excel files, you put a prompt here, and it creates you a kind of 500 word or 1000 word report ready to execute and take action on. So this was the whole process. I'm gonna kind of stop here, but I just wanna make one point. So there's a great report written by the partner with University of Southampton, AI and the Future of Universities. And there's a section there for academics, students, teachers, and for professional staff as well. And what they say is, it is time for university professional services to embrace generative AI. But we ask the question of how. There's no one leading us, so we need to find our way so we can lead generative AI. I said at the beginning of this presentation, none of that process could have been done by generative AI. But without us in the process, generative AI couldn't know what we really need and what we really want to offer our students. So when human in the loop and partnered with generative AI, what we call is hybrid intelligence, then we can create such practices that would help both staff and institutions and students. That was it. Thanks for listening to me patiently. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.